Greetings all. In today's video, we'll go over some techniques that were used in this tree leaf shader node. This node can get you variation within your trees using just one texture. It works with both EV and cycles, and it is available for free on my Gumroad, the link to which you'll find in the description. Let's get into how we can get the leaves to dry up in some areas of the tree. First, we need a tree. For that, I'm gonna go to our preferences and enable the tree gen add-on. Then I'll hit Shift A, go to curve and create sapling tree gen. I'm gonna go to load preset and get a small maple. Uncheck limit import to see the leaves. Let's go to branch splitting and change the levels up to 4. Fine, this looks great. I am also going to change the leaf shape to rectangular so that we can save up on some vertices. And honestly, we don't need that much topology, they're just leaves. Alright, this looks great. We'll switch over to our shading tab. I already have some material set up. Over here, I have 3 image textures, one for the color, one for the opacity, and one for the normals. Alright, so what this node is based on is the hue and saturation node. If I insert this in the middle, you can see I can easily dry out or freshen up the leaves just by changing the hue. Alright, now that we have that, all we need is some way to control where we want the dryness. For that, we're gonna get our texture coordinate node, get our generated, separate XYZ, and get our Z value. Now, as you can see, the lowest point of our tree object is black and the highest point is white. So that gives us a gradient that goes from the bottom to the top. We can use this to get the dry leaves at the bottom, and we can keep the upper leaves as they are. If I were to just plug this into the hue, you can see we get a very colorful tree, which is not what we want. So I'll just get a map range node and insert it in the middle. We want the minimum value to be 0.4 and the maximum value to be 0.5. And as you can see, we have some variation going over here at the bottom, where the bottom leaves are a bit dried out. Alright, so this is a very simple thing, but let's get some more control over this. So first, what I'm gonna do is invert this. I'll get a maths node, set it to subtract, and I'm gonna subtract this from 1, which is just gonna invert this. And instead of going from bottom to top as it was, it's now going from top to bottom, which is great. Let's get rid of this map range. We'll bring it back. We'll bring it back later. We are essentially creating a mask, and we want this effect only at the bottom. So to achieve that, I'm just going to duplicate this subtract node, and as you can see already, we have a mask. Great. However, the mask is very uniform and we have a straight line just clearly visible, and I am pretty sure it's not gonna look good. So to break it up, we're gonna multiply this with noise. Let's just add a multiply node maybe before this and add a noise texture. Let's just preview this. We'll bring down the roughness to 0. We don't really need that much detail. And yeah, we have some variation. Alright. Still, there's one more issue where still the tops of the dried leaves are at the same point. To fix that, I'm just gonna add a bit of noise to the vector itself. So let's just take this. We'll get a combine XYZ and plug this into the C value. And we can see we have some more variation. Right. A little too much variation. Maybe bring it to 5. Yeah, that looks good. We'll bring this up to maybe 10. 20. Yeah, fine. Right. So now you can see we are masking things out. Still, I'm still not satisfied with the mask as there's a lot of gradients. To remove that, I'm just gonna duplicate our math node and change it to seal. And yeah, that looks much better and much cleaner. Right, as we increase the subtract value, we get less and less amount of dried leaves. We have variation and we have more variation. Alright, okay, so to go over this again, we get our generated coordinates, which just gives sort of a bounding box. If we preview this, you can see it. The highest top right corner is 1, I believe, which means that it goes from 0 to 1 in Z, 0 to 1 in the X, and 0 to 1 in the Y. So this basically gives us a bounding box. And we are separating XYZ, subtracting a value. We are using this add node in the middle to get some variation. We are inverting this. Let's just rename this to invert so that it's clear. Right? We are inverting this, multiplying with noise to get more variation, subtracting a value to control where the dryness starts, and applying a seal to get a cleaner mask. Alright. What's left is to just add a map range node, plug this into the hue. The minimum will be 0.5 and the maximum will be let's say 0.35. And you can see we have some dried leaves. This can be used to create some variation very quickly. You can get the object random from the object info node, get variation per object. Right, so if I were to put this in a collection, instance, and you'll get more or less dried leaves per instance. Alright, here I have the full node, and to set this up all you need to do is connect the hue to hue, saturation to saturation, insert the hue between your base color and your image texture. I also have this going into a translucent VSTF to get a little more realism. To use this node, all you need to do is play with these values. You have a freshness value that drives how fresh the leaves are, how green the fresh leaves are. The fresh start position, it controls how high the leaves are. So if you have a smaller tree, you can leave the start position a little lower. If you have a bigger tree, you can leave it higher. The shape just controls how outward the freshness is. Don't worry about it too much, just play with the values and leave it on what you like. Okay, the dryness amount, let's just bring up the dried leaves amount, controls how many dried leaves we have. If I turn it all the way to 0, you can see we have no dried leaves, and as I bring it up, you can see we get some dried leaves. The dryness controls how dry the leaves are. As you can see, if I bring it up to 0, the leaves aren't very dry. If I bring it up all the way to 1, you can see they become more brown. Below that we have crumpled leaves, which are the lowest leaves that are going to, I guess, fall off. If I bring this up a little bit, you can see we get some leaves that are thinner and are ready to fall. The crumpled leaves amount controls how many crumpled leaves we have, and scale controls how crumpled they are, and there's also the amount which kind of drives how squiggly they are. We have a total randomness scale. If we bring it to 0, everything will have even cutoff. If we bring it to 1, we'll find more randomness. And we can crank it up higher if your trees are at a higher scale and the variation does not work well. You can find this node on my Gumroad page, the link to which will be in the description. Feel free to check it out, and thanks for watching.